Welcome to the Clemson Dubcast, Monday, January 10th, National Championship Day. Got a column today at TigerIllustrated.com. Basically a reminder that even in the midst of a 10-3 season that ended with Dabo Swinney having Cheez-Its stuffed into his mouth down in Orlando, the fact that Clemson on the biggest stage has 2 wins over Alabama, particularly in light of Kirby Smart and Georgia's struggles against them, really underscores just the masterpiece of what Dabo Swinney and company have accomplished here over the last decade. So check out that and more at TigerIllustrated.com. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's PARHAM law.com. If you're in the Eastern Midlands and PD area and you're in any way interested in buying and selling a home, commercial property, land, need to consider reaching out to Uptown Realty. They're based out of Sumter and run by a friend of mine, Patrick Enzer, big Clemson guy, used to cover the Tigers in a newspaper capacity, longtime supporter of Tiger Illustrated, longtime listener to the Dubcast. The home buying process should be an enjoyable experience, so let Patrick and his staff do all the heavy lifting. All you got to do is pick up the phone and call 803-774-0435 or go to uptownrealtysc.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Okay, in reaction to last week's big news that Todd Bates was out, Nick Eason was in, Clemson grad, very popular figure, reached out to Rick Stockstill, the guy who recruited him, and Bryant McNeal, who was basically his best friend during those days at Clemson and beyond. We'll start with Coach Stock. Here we go. Enjoy. Hey, Coach.
Hey, Larry. How are you, bud?
I'm great. I appreciate you making time for me.
Yeah, man.
Everything okay in your neck of the woods?
Everything's great, brother. How are you?
Doing good. Crazy times. Crazy times in college football.
Yeah, this portal, this NIL stuff, it's completely changed the landscape of what we all grew up in.
And it's not like you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's like it's going to happen like organically with future players just seeing the statistics of what happens when you leave and you don't graduate and all that stuff.
I don't know if they'll see it. I think they look at it. They see one guy get something, and that can be me. And so it's just crazy. It's really sad, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, Dabo gets crucified for it, but his concern is the graduation rates are going to go down because even the players who do find a home, the progress toward degree and all that at your next school. I mean, what are the chances that you graduate from that,
I get a D at Clemson, okay? I get a D at Clemson, and I want to transfer to Middle Tennessee. Well, we're not going to accept those Ds, so now you got to take that class over.
Yeah.
The portal deal, it's like free agency, like everybody says in the NFL. But in the NFL, there are rules that those teams have to abide by during free agency. And with this portal, there are no rules. We could play Clemson, and I go up to the quarterback after the game and say, man, you're a great player. I'd love to have you here. I wish we had somebody like you, and Dabo yells at him the next game, and then he goes in the portal. Then he calls Stock and says, hey, You said you could use somebody like me. I want to come. So it's just a crazy, crazy world.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we could start with Nick, did you recruit him?
Yes.
What are your recollections?
I love Nick Eason. When I saw that guy was leaving to go to Oklahoma, I called Nick. I said, Nick, what do we have to do to get you involved, in the Clemson deal? And I love Nick. I recruited him. His story out of high school, just how hard he worked at everything, academics, football, basketball when he played, just his work ethic, his character, his mom, his grandmother, just his whole family you fall in love with. And just he was a very, very mature kid at 17 or 18, when I met him for the first time there at Toombs County. And then him coming to Clemson there and coaching him. Well, I didn't coach him, but, watching him and then playing in the NFL and then coaching in the NFL, just the amount of respect and admiration that I have for Nick Eason is incredible. Just he'll have such a positive impact on that program, not only as a coach, but the way he'll impact those players, with his experiences as a player, with his experiences of what he's experienced growing up. I don't know. There's just a great hire, just a phenomenal hire. He'll do such. He loves that program. He loves that university, and just I just respect that man so much. I watched him coach when he coached here at the Tennessee Titans. I watched him coach. I went to NFL games when he played, there and with the Steelers and whatnot, and just he continues to give back to his community back home. He's a great father, a husband. He's a great man, and I respect the heck out of him.
So it sounds like you and he have kept in really close touch. If the first person you thought of when you heard that Todd Bates was going to Oklahoma was Nick.
Yeah, and I try to stay in touch with all the guys that I've coached throughout my career. And Nick called me last night. I sent him a text. I said, "Congratulations, I love you." And he called me back. We talked for about 30 minutes. About the whole process and how excited he is to get going there. And, talked about, how tough it was, leaving Auburn and, the players, the families that he had coached and recruited. He was only there a year. And that shows you what I told him, I said, that shows you what kind of man you are, Nick. Shows you what kind of coach you are, that you truly care about your players. And that you were concerned enough about how they were going to feel about you leaving. And, so he does things the right way. And like I said, I couldn't be happier, for a guy to get this opportunity.
The account that I got was that he initially turned Dabo down on Monday, and that on the reasons that you just specified, on his loyalty to Auburn and the relationships he had there. And that made Dabo say, "I want you even more now because of the basis for your wanting to stay." And then Dabo came back at him. Is that the account does that match with your understanding of it?
I never got to that, Larry. I never asked. Nick never said I turned him down. and all that. But, he said it was a couple-day process. So that probably makes sense. But knowing Nick, and, his loyalty, it kind of goes back to, the recruiting part. We were really we were the first ones, to offer Nick, and, and I recruited him, hard, for that year, whatever it was. And, they started getting, a bunch of offers there, and, he stuck with us, and, because of his loyalty, and, so what type of man he is. So I don't know if that's the exact what happened, but it doesn't surprise me because, like I said, Nick is what you want your son to be coached by.
How early in the recruiting process did you guys offer him and take such interest in?
It's changed so much since back then. Back then you weren't offering guys, when they were a sophomore, when they were a junior. Back then it was, you went out in the spring and, you found your guys. Camps weren't what camps are now, where guys, all the one-day camps, coming as a ninth grader and all that. So the recruiting landscape has changed, a great deal. So I would say that May, because I only think back then, like now you can go out April 15th. Back then, I think it was just the month of May, so, probably there in May when I went by Toombs County, and that was my area, and, watched him practice, and that's when we offered him then.
So who were some of the other schools that eventually jumped on board?
Oh, hell. I mean, we didn't say, and I don't, I'm sure, that was 100 years ago, but I'm sure probably, all the Georges and Auburns and all those guys, came in on them. That's back then, that's who you usually recruited against, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, Auburn, that area. It wasn't, the national recruiting wasn't like it is now because, you didn't have huddle. People in California couldn't see a kid in South Georgia. Now they can click a button and you can see kids anywhere in the world. And so it was more geographically, recruiting back then. South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Florida State, that's who you competed against.
I wasn't around back then, but I'm reading about him. So I'm learning more about him now. It says that both of his parents had master's degrees. Their education was a big emphasis and motivation. What struck you immediately in the recruiting process about this guy that he was just different, this kid?
Well, his mom was a school teacher. She was an elementary school teacher. And Nick wasn't, and I hope I'm not saying anything I'm not allowed to say, but Nick wasn't a very good student. And I shouldn't say wasn't a good student, didn't have very good test score. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I admire him so much, how hard he worked and what he set his goal to score on that test. And he kept taking it and he got it. He finally got what his goal was long after he qualified, from a test score standpoint. And, because back then you didn't have to, the sliding scale, I don't think it had started yet. Anyway, but just how hard he worked academically to achieve his goal, what he wanted to score on that test. His mom, his grandmother, how much, they pushed him academically. just, and then when he got to Clemson, I mean, it was never, you go over in the meetings, you start talking about academics, and, when Nick Eason's name came up, you could, think about something else because he was always going to be doing what he was supposed to be doing. And, but yeah, his mom, his family, and he's so involved in the church, his brother, just a great family.
Tim Beret sent me this text. He said, when Billy D was running Vickery, Billy D also oversaw community service, and in those days, each school picked a top 6 award for the top 6 student athletes in doing community service. Nick was the only one selected in any sport 5 times.
Nick cares. Nick has a great heart. Nick is whatever he played in the NFL, however many years he coached in the NFL, he still goes back to Lyons, Georgia, Toombs County, Georgia, and just does stuff, not just football camps for little kids, but he's constantly going back and giving. And I go back, he's what you want your son to be coached by. He's what you want your daughter to marry. And he's a good man. He's got a good heart. He cares about people, and the football part, takes care of itself. And, but he's everything that you want your son, your daughter to grow up to be like. And, again, the respect level that I have for Nick is off the charts.
What's the most indelible memory you have of him from his playing days?
Oh, man, just, I don't know, just how hard he worked. I mean, he came to Clemson, I bet he wasn't 205, 210 pounds, and then he worked, his work ethic, his dedication, his commitment to being great at everything he did, was constant. It never, it was never, he worked this semester, but he didn't do anything this semester. He worked this week. He didn't do anything the next week. Heck, he ended up playing the NFL over 300 pounds, and you think about that, I don't know what he was when he left Clemson, but I bet it was 250, 260, 70 pounds, and just how hard he worked to develop his body. What a great leader he was. The players respected him because of how hard he worked and what kind of person he was off the field.
I got to ask you one question. I've always, over the last decade, as Dabo's taken this thing and doing what he's done, I regularly think back and ask myself the question, what if Stockstill did not go to East Carolina in 2003? How would things have been different? For Clemson, because Dabo, he had been out of coaching for 2 years when Tommy brought him here. So I don't know if he could have survived a third year out of coaching as far as getting back in it.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's some guys are out of it a month and can't ever get in it, can't get back, and some guys are out, 3 or 4 years and get back. So you never know about that. But Dabo's done a fantastic job, and really admire what they've done, because I was there, and we always said the thing that Clemson lacked is we had an SEC stadium, but everything else, people, we didn't have. And, when they built the facility and to me, that was a game changer there. And on top of, Dabo and those coaches and everybody doing a good job also. I'm not just saying it's because of, building a building, but that had an awful lot to do with it. But no, Dabo's done a great job, and really respect and admire what he's done, and what the whole that whole football program. Those, because I don't know as many now, but there at one time, I knew a lot more of the coaches, there now than what I do now. Even though Streeter's there, I know him. Tony Elliott, was there, and I coached him. Danny Pearman, I've known him forever, and so you still, Woody and I coached together, but you still have some people there that but I respect the heck out of what they've done.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the Big Three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. Blackstone Griddles, too. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your Blackstone griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and jackoliverpools.com.
Want to share a quick word about Founders Federal Credit Union? If you've been to a sporting event in Clemson, you've probably heard about Founders already. They are the official credit union partner of the Clemson Tigers. In addition to that, all Clemson faculty, staff, and students are eligible for membership as well as IPTAY members. Matt Gross is a proud Clemson alum and the vice president for the Clemson market for Founders Federal Credit Union. Matt's office is located beside the Walmart Neighborhood Market on Old Greenville Highway in Clemson. For more information, go to foundersfcu.com. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archenhold. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's CELERO commerce.com. Okay, happy to be joined by former Tiger Bryant McNeal. First of all, what are you up to these days? Maybe, I guess, get everybody up to speed on what you're doing.
I'm back at my alma mater, Swansea, and I'm teaching and I'm coaching football.
Okay.
I was at North High School. I was a head coach for, a couple of years. But I've been at Swansea since then.
Okay. And I guess when did you decide to get back into or get into coaching and get back into football, and what was that process like?
I've been doing this since about 2010. I got a call. I actually got a call from one of the coaches here, and he I think it was Van Lewis at the time. He called me and asked me would I be interested in coming here and possibly getting in the education system. And I said yes, I would. And I went through the routes, and I actually started that year, 2010.
Okay. A lot of the former players I talked to over the years, a popular topic is the transition away from playing the game when you spent your whole life being defined by something, and whether you make the transition at age 22 or 28 or 32, it's still a really hard transition that maybe people don't understand how difficult it is just because you're having to do something totally different. Can you maybe reflect on what that was like for you and just sort of your unique experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising. Surprised seeing behind the scenes of how coaches did things and all the work they put in behind the scenes, even at the high school level. When I played, I just showed up and everything was there, like uniforms washed and fields marked, stuff like that. And I really didn't realize how much film they actually watched over the weekends until I started doing it.
Yeah.
And I realized all the hours they put in. And then they had to, they paint the field. Like, I never saw my high school coach paint the field, but the field was always painted. They didn't really know who did it. You get what I'm saying? It was kind of just done. But then I realized, this is when they paint the field. After practice on Thursday, they spend 3 hours to paint the field. I was like, oh, wow. So it was kind of interesting. I mean.
And so, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you're painting the field on a regular basis now, I guess, is what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. The whole staff is, I actually coach 2 sports here, so I kind of get out of painting the field because I do basketball too. I'm the head basketball coach, so they kind of give me a bow on that because I have to do basketball stuff, so I get away.
You're the head basketball coach.
I am.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And how many years have you been the head basketball coach?
This is actually my second year. My sister, I should say it's the girls, but my sister actually was the coach here for 9 years. And then her daughter, Janae, she actually went to Clemson, was going to Clemson to play. She went to watch her play, and she just had another baby, so they kind of talked me into doing it. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
so this is my second year doing it, actually.
What's it? I mean, being an assistant coach is one thing, but what is it like running your own show? How different is it?
Well, you pretty much have to make all the decisions, and everything falls on your name, basically. So, if something's not done, they question me. So you have to be on it, and make sure everything's done. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility. Even though it's high school basketball, it's still a lot of responsibility. Nowadays, this is the big thing. Summers, we go throughout the whole summer, basketball and football. Football was 4 days on the field. An hour and a half in the weight room, an hour on the field, passing league on Thursday. Basketball, we're doing summer league. I think we played, 15 games, and we practice weights. So, that's what everybody's doing these days. So,
what do you think about the specialization of sports, of one sport now? Obviously, there are benefits in terms of whatever you're specializing in. By the time that guy gets to college, he's more developed than maybe he would have been 20 years ago when he's playing 3 sports. What are the drawbacks of the specialization sort of craze?
I think they all kind of. I'm like, I believe in multi-sports, especially, look at the size of the school I'm in. I mean, I'm at Swansea. We're 3A school, but we probably got 2A numbers, and, small community. And, your best athletes probably play football, and then they play basketball, they run track. So it's hard to take your best athlete and specialize. Like, you look at Greg Williams, he plays at Clemson. He's from Swansea. He was a phenomenal athlete here, and he played football, played basketball. I'm not sure if he ran track. I think he did. But you got a guy like that, and he was on a good team. I think they won the conference one year. So I mean, I really push for multi-sports, and I believe they complement each other. I mean, with football, basketball, footwork, and it helped you be more agile. And I really push for that. But I see that nowadays you got certain schools, especially the bigger schools, you might have the best athlete. That's all he or she plays is one position. And, they specialize in that, and they way ahead. You can see that now, rather way ahead. You look at the quarterbacks now, they throwing for 4,000 yards in the season in high school.
Yep.
20 years ago, you didn't see that. And the main thing was, I remember when I went to camp, we didn't really go over the summer. We didn't do passing leagues really. It was kind of starting that, but we kind of went into camp 2 weeks and got the crap beat out of us. I'm talking about 3 practices a day. And, we really didn't have all those repetitions, all those exotic routes and stuff, to get all that timing in like now. Nowadays, you practice the whole summer, have your whole offense in. They know it. So, they specialize in it. And it takes time away from other sports. Like if you're a quarterback or wide receiver, you might not have time for basketball. Just playing football the whole summer. So.
Yeah, you had, I guess where it really shows up, that's that year-long focus on one sport is like you have, Trevor Lawrence won a national championship as a freshman. Bryce Young right now, he's a sophomore, but didn't play last year. First-year starter, and he's the best player in the country. You see the catches you see from receivers, the one-handed, just ridiculous catches you see on a regular basis. You didn't see that 20 years. I guess, of course, you didn't see as much passing 20 years ago either, but you have to think that year-round focus is producing the heightened skill level, I guess you could say, in some of these crazy plays they're making.
I sit there and watch guys practice one-handed catches from a jugs machine.
Yeah.
They'll take the jug machine and throw it and just take the ball one hand. I'm like, goodness gracious. I know you didn't see that in 2000.
Yeah.
I never saw that. So.
What do you think? What do you think, Coach? I guess Stockstill or Coach Belden or Rodriguez would have said if they saw some of the receivers like Gardner or whoever practicing one-handed catches back then?
It probably got on them pretty bad. What you guys over there doing? You need to be working on this, working on that. Grab the ball with 2 hands, that type of thing.
Well, so the reason I reached out to you is the return of Nick Eason back to his alma mater to coach defensive tackles, and word on the street is that you're really tight with Nick. So what is that? What's this like for you to see that?
Oh, well, that's great. Me and Nick, we were roommates in college, throughout college, and we somehow lucked up and got drafted by the same team.
Yeah. So, in the same round, right?
In the same round, and we ended up being roommates again for a little while at Denver. And we always talk. And what's funny is, it's like we always talk about Clemson and going back to Clemson and coaching. And that was one of the things. This is way before we were mentioning. Like, maybe one day, man, I'd like to coach here. Come back in and coach. And me and him actually talked about that when he was, I think, with Tennessee Titans. Maybe one day, come back to Clemson. It's really, I believe it's a dream for him. He loves Clemson. We follow Clemson. We always talk. He'd call me after the game. We'd discuss. We'd talk about it. We talk about the big games. He's a Clemson guy. He loves the place, and he's excited, and everybody's excited for him to come. When he told me that it might happen, I was happy for him, man. That's great. What built there with Dabo, and the passion he has for that place, I think it's just great.
I guess it was a week ago today when the news broke that Todd Bates was leaving abruptly for Oklahoma, which was a big surprise to me and a lot of others. And then Eason's name was on the radar, but we heard at first that might not happen. And it wasn't until a few days later that we started to piece things together that Dabo went after him, but he had some real indecision about leaving Auburn after just 1 year. He had loyalty to the players there, to the recruits, and actually it was his indecision was really a tribute to him in that in today's day and age, you have so many coaches who are just bolting for the, for a more attractive opportunity. Whereas it seemed like he really wanted to go to Clemson, but he just felt like he didn't want to abandon the commitment that he had made. Were you talking with him through that process at all? I'm just curious to whether he shared any of that with you. That's certainly what I've heard from Dabo Swinney and Rick Stockstill and others.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we spoke about that, and that shows his character, not just up and leave, even though he was going to a place that, that he played at and he believed in, and, and he felt like he didn't want to just abandon the ship like that at Auburn, and he owed the guys there something. That kind of shows his character. And, I respect him for that. Like you say, in this day and age, people leave in the middle of the night, and the players will wake up the next day, and he'd be like, oh, our coach is gone, what? You've seen that happen. So, I mean, that just shows his character. He's a good guy, man. I mean, Nick, anybody who knows him will tell you the same thing. I mean, he's a great guy. That really sums it up for him.
You mentioned the sort of the trend of, coaches can leave in the middle of the night. Now players can leave in the middle of the night too with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And if you ask any coach, they say that combined with name, image, likeness, that is just a mess. I think the main concern, the legitimate concern, is there's so many guys in the portal right now that there aren't going to be enough spots available, first of all. They won't have a place to go. Second of all, even the ones that do find a place to land, their chances of graduating are going to be diminished just because of how hard it is to transfer credits and all that stuff. As a high school coach, looking at all this, what is your take on the landscape right now? And I'm not saying that I'm against it or you should be too. I'm just curious what your opinion is from your vantage point, being the coach of a bunch of high school folks.
Well, I was always taught or told the whole purpose of the NCAA, how this is about education. To me, nowadays, education has been put on the back end. When you have transfer portal, and like you say, some of them want to be able to graduate, well, it's not about education anymore. I'm just speaking my opinion. I just think that education's kind of got pushed further in the back, and now it's more about, football or basketball or, whatever sport it is, it's kind of, it changed the team from year to year. It's kind of hard to really keep up with who's who. It really is. Like, I look at college football, you can almost, you can almost go back and say, well, he's playing at Oklahoma and he's playing at Texas now. You're like, wow, he's over here. Who's at Oklahoma now? Or vice versa, South Carolina. You get me? It's, but I think, it's not as much about education. It's more about, I guess the sport and money.
Yeah.
more than ever now. So
is it fair? Because every time a coach mentions the thing about graduation or is saying there's chaos right now, or saying that the 1 year penalty for transferring should have stayed to sort of keep players from being able to leave at the drop of a hat. There was the clapback from folks is always, oh, well, coaches can leave when they want to, so players should be too. Is that a fair comparison?
And I've always thought like that. That's not really fair. I believe in people have to pay their dues. And sometimes I believe a coach has paid their dues. Sometimes his coach has been played football like Dabo. Look, a guy like Dabo, he's played football. He's worked a regular job. He's been a grad assistant. He's been a position coach. You get me? He's went through all the ropes.
Yeah.
And after a while, they paid their dues. So sometimes you got to go in, you got to work, you got to pay your dues. You got some guys coming out of high school never played a snap in football, and they're getting paid. And, I heard about some of them NIL deals, and a I just believe you have to pay your dues, everybody, I think one thing we try to make things fair. It's hard to make things fair. I was always, my high school coach always told me, well, life's not fair. It's hard to make it fair. We try to make everything fair. You're not making it fair for everybody. You get me?
Yeah.
So, I believe most of the coaches pay their dues. I mean, it is and it is. One day, a lot of them guys will be coaches, and they have that same opportunity, to go to leave in the middle of the night to grab the big bucks, So that's just my take on it. A lot of times, you got to look at maturity level, too. I mean, some of these guys, 18, 20, 23, 18, 23 years old on average. I mean, the maturity level, to be able to leave, you get mad, you're upset, you're not playing. I take my take at Clemson. I came in as a red shirt, and I got significant playing time at first, but I wasn't a starter, and I didn't start to my junior year, but, you waited your turn. You worked, you played, you came every summer, and eventually your turn came. So that's the way I look at it. If I'm not playing now, I'm not starting now, I'm not happy now, we'll work harder. I think the easy thing to do sometimes is say, okay, I'm going over here.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work out, then what? I'm going over here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Billy Davis, who was a safety on the national championship team in 1981, he's a good friend of mine, and he made the point. He said if the transfer portal were around in 1980, he said we would have. There was no way we would have won a national championship. He said because they were 5-6 in 1980, and he said half the team would have probably transferred out after that 80 season. They would have been bad in 81. And so in your experience, did you and Eason come in the same class? You said you redshirted in 98?
98. We did. We were the same class, we signed the same. Same roommates that year. Coach Stockstill recruited us both.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was so y'all came in and I guess that was Tommy West's last class. What was the recruiting process like? I know that in talking to Stockstill about Eason, that they got in on him early, and then the big dogs came in later. But then Nick was loyal to the ones who offered first. What was your recruitment like? Sort of that process.
Well, Stockstill started recruiting me my junior year. And it was mainly just letters and phone calls a lot. And, but he was always, he would call me, I think, weekly and always talk to me. And I came up a few times, like junior day, I think, and a couple of games. I never got to see him. There was a lot going on and so many people there. And I was kind of one that just kind of stayed in the back anyway, a lot of times. But I never really saw him. But they officially offered me at North-South game, I remember. Rich Passacci, actually.
Yeah.
He came up to me and he saw me and he said, we're going to get you at Clemson. You can get the call from us. And that was it. And they called me that Monday after the game and officially offered me. So, I mean, I was excited. Clemson where I wanted to go. I don't know. I don't think I had a rating, but I had a lot of, not a lot of offers. I had a lot of, schools recruiting me, and my high school coach was Coach Maddox. He was a big Auburn guy. We had a guy playing at Auburn, Victor Riley. He was a first-round pick, the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think he actually, and my coach was, he had on the Auburn staff at one time. He didn't push me. He always talked about me going to Auburn. Do you want to go to Auburn? I'm like, no, I want to go to Clemson. I've always been a Clemson fan, and to be honest with you, I've always liked the helmets since I was in first grade. I just love the helmets with the paw on it, and I always liked it. And so I wanted to go to Clemson. That was my school. So when they offered me, it was like that was my dream. I was all in. So
when Wes gets fired in, I guess, November of your redshirt year in '98, are you thinking, man, I might have made it a mistake, or are you thinking I'm sticking with it and we're going to be fine?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I never thought about leaving. And I never thought about mistake. I love Tommy West. I thought he was a great guy. And I really was shocked he got fired. Even though it was a bad year, I was kind of shocked. Because I remember before we signed, he just got like an extension. All right, somebody got like a 1-year extension. I don't know what that was about, but I really never thought he would get fired. It was kind of a shock to me. And, we were upset a little bit, mainly for him because he was such a good guy. And, never crossed my mind to leave. Not once. And believe me, my parents and my brother, they wouldn't let me leave. They'd be like, you're going to go there and you're going to graduate. They would have told me anyway.
Yeah. I've heard a funny story about Reggie Herring. I'm sure some of it's been exaggerated, but the day that Wes gets fired, Reggie Herring walks out of Jervy, and I think the media was around Tommy West interviewing him, and Herring yells at the media and says, "Y'all got what y'all wanted." And then he goes out and he takes his practice gear and he has a shovel and he digs a hole and buries it over near the practice fields. Well, then he gets retained by Tommy Bowden, and he goes back out there and digs it back up. Now, again, that might have been embellished, but it sounds like a great story either way.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if that happened, but if you told me that might be something he would have done. I would tell you that.
It wouldn't surprise you.
But I can tell you this. He did take his name tag out the door. He ripped it off the wall. I know that for a fact because he was the only coach. And it was funny because he got retained and his name tag was still gone. I remember that walking through old Jersey, his name tag, he'd taken his name tag down off his office.
That's fantastic. So were you and Nick like instant friends when y'all first met?
Yeah. Nick, I'm telling you, Nick actually called me after signing day. He called me and he was already like, I guess as it got closer, I can't remember, it was closer. It was actually close to us reporting the campus. He actually called me about the dorm room and asked me, "Hey, are you gonna bring a TV?" Or hey, and this and that. So he reached out with me. I'm telling you, that's what type of guy Nick was. I mean, he wasn't shy at all. I mean, it could be 20 reporters over there. He gonna go talk. Me, I'm just kind of walk away like, go ahead, man. There could be a crowd. It could be 1,000 people around, and he doesn't get right up and start talking. That's Nick.
Wow.
So. We was instant friends. I'm gonna tell you, when I first saw Nick, the first thing I thought was his arms. Man, Nick came in with some arms on him, and I said, "Good Lord, I got to get bigger." I think I was 210.
Wow.
Nick was listed like 225, 220. But I'm gonna tell you, he had the biggest arms when he walked in. I'm telling you, it looked like he just did curls all day long. He was special, man. The first day I said, "God, look at the size of this dude. I got to get bigger." Like, goodness. But
you came in at 210.
Oh, I was 210 pounds.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I was, it was kind of funny because everybody was like, "Well, you play wide receiver, I was like, no, it used to, that was one of the things that just burned me up inside. Like, no, I play defense then. But, I was about 210. I put on 20 pounds that first year. I got to 230. By the time I graduated, I think the heaviest ever was like 248, But, I mean, just working with Batson and drinking, protein. I drank so much protein, I literally throw it up. I mean, oh, God. I'm not even joking. I had cases upon cases. I would literally almost throw up looking at it. If they would make it in the blenders and give it to me, like, oh my God, I can't take another one. But just trying to put on weight, pack on weight.
And what were you by the time you got to the NFL?
I was about the heaviest, like I said, you say 250. I was 248, 250. I think when I went to combine, I was like 250.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy is I played with Keith Millard when he was with the Raiders. He was the coach. He was at Denver. I left Denver because he actually told me to go to Tampa because he was like, it was a better system for me. Then when he went to Raiders, they signed me with the Raiders. And he was there, and I was like, I think I gotten up too stick. I gotten a lot bigger, a lot thicker, just bulkier. He said, dude, you're way too heavy. You need to lose about. That's the first time in my life somebody told me I need to lose 10, 15 pounds. I'm like, what? He told me I need to lose 10, 15 pounds. I was looking at Keith like, are you serious?
Wow.
But, yeah.
So one of them, and I didn't cover Clemson back then, but in learning more about Nick, one of the, I guess, most remarkable things is his academic achievement and community service achievements. Like Stockstill was telling me that Nick, that he didn't have the right, the high enough test score to qualify initially, and then he kept taking the test. He then qualified, but he kept taking it because he had a goal that he wanted to meet, and so he kept taking it until he got to his goal. But then he gets to Clemson, and I guess the influence of his parents and grandmother, I think all of them have master's degrees. I guess that rubbed off on him, and he was just so motivated. And then the community service part, I mean, he was like a 5-time ACC top 6 award winner in community service when he was at Clemson. I'm just curious for your perspective on watching him sort of blossom, I guess, as a in academics, but also in sort of caring for his fellow humans in his community.
Well, I'm telling you, Nick was like the rabbit, and I had to chase him. I'm telling you, he was so far ahead and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, man, it was hard for me to try and keep up. I couldn't even keep up with him. But, yeah, community service, he did a lot. I'm telling you, almost the first summer, when we first got there, once we got out of camp, I can honestly say me and Nick was in Central at some little league practice out there helping him with practice and talking. I mean, Nick, like, Bryant, come with me. We got to go to Central. I was like, what's in Central? It's little league practice. I told the guy that I would come, like, what? So we going out there, it's about 20 little league players. I'm saying we just got here. We just got out of camp. We got class. I don't know anything about anything. You get me? And Nick's always started. I mean, it was like that all the time. Like, he was like, dude, what you doing? You come out here with me? They're doing the cookout or something. It was always something. He was always involved. I'm telling you, he was always involved. And we went somewhere, I mean, goodness gracious. So like everybody knew Nick. Like Nick, you think Nick was a quarterback or something.
Wow.
But yeah, he stayed involved with the local community. I know his community back home, and he was like that in Denver. Denver, he always stayed involved with some kind of community activity or just giving back.
So your roommates? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was a little bit of academics. Oh yeah, and he was hard. Nick was a guy. I'm sure I'm remembering this right. We had Vickery Hall. And all freshmen had to attend that first semester. Now, after the second semester, if you was like over a certain GPA, you didn't have to attend study hall. Nick put himself in study hall. If I think I remember that right. Nick put himself in study hall, just so he would stay on top of himself, grades. And he didn't have to, he just went.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So y'all are roommates through your college career. I guess let's go to draft night, or I guess I forgot the way they did the draft at that point. Was it? I don't know. But either way, when it was
2 days.
Okay.
It wasn't 3 days. To me, it was 2 days, and it was all days long. Like it was like the first through third round, and it was all day long. It started like 10 a.m. in the morning, I think, maybe a little later, and it didn't end till it was night. So it was when the next day they did round 4 through 7, and it was all day. And I actually like that format better. So yeah, Nick had a lot of. I don't know if you know, Nick was on that show, Hey Rookie, Welcome to the NFL. You could probably dig up footage of it. I know some of it's on YouTube, but it's kind of funny. They followed him everywhere. We had the same agent, Gene Kraselic, and it was like it'd be like Nick have all these cameras and these people from NFL Films following him because they was following these rookies around, and I'd be like, hey, we can't even eat. I was like, I'm just gonna eat by myself because I didn't want to just sit in front of the cameras and eat. But he had all of them at his house. So I mean, the draft night. I know Nick was, I thought he was going to go first round. They had projected him first, second round, his projections. And I remember, I remember he called me and told me that, I don't know, San Francisco, I think, said it was going to take him in the second round. And they didn't take him. It was like crazy. Like the coach from San Francisco called and said, hey, we're going to take you if you're available in, I think, the next couple of picks. And they didn't take him. So I think I remember that, right? I'm pretty sure that's it, you know. But, yeah, I know he was home in Toombs County, Macon, one of them little small towns.
Yeah.
at his grandma's house, and he had NFL films there. So I know his footage of it is, hey, rookie, I think it was the first year they did it, maybe the second year. Hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL. So
it's still on YouTube?
There's some shows on YouTube, because I went in there, they interviewed me on it, and I went in there like, oh, my God, look at that hair. Look at the haircut. But, yeah. So, yeah, they had some episodes on YouTube.
So he gets picked, and then 14 picks later, you get picked by the Broncos too. How crazy was that?
Yeah, it was really crazy because Nick had got drafted, and I was at my brother's house. My brother was like, you know what? We just cook on the grill, and while we waiting on the draft, my brother Mike, and I remember I was helping him move a couch down the stairs from his upstairs, and I get a call. Yeah, I get a call from my agent. He's like, hey, Brian. I was like, yeah, I just saw Nick got drafted. And he was like, no. Denver's about to take you. I was like, man, I couldn't hear him. I was like, yeah, I saw Nick got drafted to the Denver Broncos. But he's trying to tell me, no, Denver's calling about me now. And then as he's talking, I'm getting a beat from a 303 number.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, well, hold on, I got to answer this call. I answered, keep him along. He's like, hey, bud, we're about to take you with the next pick. I'm like, what? You know, I was kind of shocked. I was moving there. I saw Nick just got drafted, but I wouldn't expect to go to the Broncos right behind him, basically. So, yeah. So that was exciting. It was, it was awesome. I mean, I don't know how many miles away from home, and I have somebody, there that I know. So.
How long were y'all roommates there?
We actually, a year. Mm-hmm. 1 year.
Do you remember, I think, so last week, Dabo Swinney said he remembers, because Dabo came in as receivers coach that spring. Mm-hmm. And I think he said he remembered visiting with Nick or watching Nick during maybe y'all's pro day. Did they have pro days back then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pro day.
Do you remember Dabo? Do you have any recollection of that, of seeing Dabo or interacting with him at all?
I don't remember. There was so many people there. And so many, pro day is crazy. It's just like so much going on. And I actually tore my pulled my hamstring twice. I've never been really injured. I had like ankles and, sprained ankles, stuff like bruises, but I pulled my hamstring training. I think I overdid it. Just training. And I actually pulled it 2 weeks before. Then I got hurt on pro day, so my pro day ended so fast. And but I don't really remember much about it. And it could have been pro day. It could have been. I know teams came out and worked Nick out. Mm-hmm. Cause I actually, when I got healthier, San Francisco came out and worked him out. I actually went out there and worked out with him and the coach from San Francisco. So I'm not sure. He probably did.
Yeah. So as somebody who grew up pulling for Clemson, loving the tiger paws on the helmets as a first grader, and then as a player here, when it was, when are they going to rediscover that lost glory that they had in the 80s, and y'all were up and down? What has it been like to see the last, I guess, decade, and then including, of course, 2 national titles, 4 trips to the national title game, 6 straight playoff appearances, and then here in a down year, they win 10 games. What has that been like for you, sort of watching from afar as a Clemson guy?
To be honest with you, it's like unbelievable. Really, growing up, and thinking that the program's at the top where it should be, where I thought it would always be. You get me? I mean, I grew up in the 90s area where at Clemson, for the longest, I mean, they would be, they beat somebody really good, and then they come back, you might have might lose to somebody they got no business losing to. You get me? Yeah. And it was like, 8 games, 7 game wins, up and down, and it's almost like, you seen Florida State, and at that time, Florida State was the team. Yep. And I mean, goodness gracious, I used to watch Florida State. I watched Florida State when I was in high school. I was like, goodness, how can anybody beat these guys? Then you had Miami, who had a little role for a while. You're like, these guys. But then now you look at us and you're like, goodness gracious. I think we make them Florida State teams look like nothing. When we really rolling, I'm like, oh my, we're like the. I don't want to say we're like the Clemson, we're like the Florida State of the 90s, but I hate to say that because I think we're better than Florida State, but Florida State of the 90s, like the Nebraska type run. So I mean, it's amazing. It makes you proud, proud to wear your Clemson gear, proud to say you graduate from Clemson, and it's awesome.
I guess. Do you have any hopes of being a college coach, moving up the ladder, maybe even?
I got offered a coach, but it's Division II in Allen, downtown. Mm-hmm. Jackie Robinson played at, wide receiver from Orangeburg. They actually called and offered me a position there to coach defensive line. And I told him I'm pretty sure I'll take it once the school year's out. They're a little shorthanded right now at the school with COVID and everything. Mm-hmm. And, like I told him, I would definitely have to finish out this year. And, but I'm pretty sure I'll be coaching football there next year.
This is at
Allen.
Gotcha.
Allen University.
Okay. Gotcha. Yep.
They're in their 3rd year, maybe 4th year of football.
Yep. Any other Nick Eason recollections that we haven't covered that stand out to you? Anything else that on your mind regarding your good friend?
Other than he was funny, he could eat a lot. I mean, I'm serious. Hey, call some of the guys down at Mac, and then oh god, Nick came in at 220 when he left. He was over 300 pounds. Did you? I'm telling you, he wasn't fat. I don't know that he had a little gut, but he was not fat at all. He had abs on his gut. I used to think at him. He had like abs on his gut, but yeah, he was over 300 pounds, man. Goodness, and I'm sitting there like barely pushing 240. This guy went like but he ate. He would make me eat when I didn't want to eat. And I'm serious. I'm not joking. Pete, let's go to dining hall. We gotta go eat, man. Come on. So
he played bass guitar as well.
Yeah, he does a little bit of everything. He used to play. I know he had it at school a few times, but if he got the plan, I'd probably disappeared. To be honest with you. But he does play it.
Oh, that's really cool. Well, Bryant, man, spur of the moment call. I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I hope to keep in touch with you. And man, best of luck as you continue to climb the coaching ladder.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, great stuff there from Bryant McNeal, Rick Stockstill. Assist to Tim Beret for suggesting that I call Bryant McNeal. That was totally off my radar until Mr. Beret recalled that McNeal and Nick Eason were so close. Appreciate the support of our very loyal sponsors for helping make this thing happen, but most of all, thanks to all of you. Really appreciate y'all hitting play every week. We will actually be back later this week. Already have an interview scheduled, so stay tuned for that. Cheers.